Welcome back to my huge channel, everybody. Today is a bit of a different day than usually. We're not having a huge fashion topic that we discuss, analyze, and then we form our opinion about it. It's more like having a lot of questions that I asked you guys on Instagram. I wanted to know what you want to know currently about no matter what. Mainly fashion related, but I don't know, positions, creative directors, industry questions, fashion week questions, about personalities, celebrities, strategies, marketing, me personally, whatever. I never did a Q&A ever before, I think, and I want to keep it like this. So I'm being exclusive. I'm being super exclusive here. Your questions were amazing. To be honest, I'm always so surprised and like positively surprised by what things you're asking yourself, and sometimes it's just super funny, random things that we need every day. Sometimes it's questions that are so deep that I will probably need like 2 or 3 videos to explain them. But anyway, I know I said on Instagram I will try to answer all of them. But it was hundreds of questions, to be honest. I don't know if it's hundreds, but it was many. And to a person like me, it looked many. I took 29 questions, 29 of your questions, and I will answer them all. And again, it is the most random video and the most random questions ever. But there are 2 reasons why we're doing this video. First of all, it's hilarious. Second, I will have time to edit my fashion week videos because I have like 500 hours of coverage. I need to edit all by myself, so thank you for the little fill-in video. So let's start right away with the first questions. But just FYI, again, if you're interested into a deep dive into the fashion shows and reviews, it will come on my YouTube channel. But tonight, in like 1 or 2 hours, we have a live stream on my Discord. The link is down below. It's free. You can participate. It's a call. So I will probably be on your screen talking. But also with me, usually a lot of other people that are way smarter and have a lot of knowledge concerning the designers we're going to talk about. So you have the chance to just, just open that chat. Either you listen to us like that psychopath and look from afar, which you can do. You can lurk in. That's amazing as well. We're all a bit psychos. But you can also write in the chat if you're a bit more introvert and don't want to share it yet, or speaking out loud, or you speak. You speak and talk to us and build a connection. That's amazing because they're like-minded people. So you should be in my Discord anyway if you do like my videos, because we're the coolest kids in the fashion scene that are not full of hate and killing each other's vibes, but about growing each other, liking each other, talking about stuff we all like, and we benefit from everybody's knowledge. It's the perfect space. It's the thing I'm the proudest of in my life, probably. It's the best thing on earth. You can find like-minded people. You can find people that are not like-minded, and that's beneficial for you because you will learn stuff you couldn't learn before. You have no clue about it. We have people with the most different aesthetics, and everybody is so loving and caring and encouraging. So join the Discord anyway if you want to see more videos like this, but more personal. As you might remember from like 1.5 minutes ago, I said I don't share so much personal stuff on YouTube because it's literally too much out there for me. But I do share way more personal things, I would say, on my Patreon, where I also upload a weekly video. So support me on Patreon if you do want to see more videos. And follow me on Instagram, and of course subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that yet. Half of you haven't done that. That's pretty mean. You should do that now. But let's continue with the first question, which is, it's super nice question, always a great question to ask. What are your favorite 5 emerging designers? Or like your favorite 5 new designers that you saw on the runways? And to be honest, every year, of course, we have new designers coming up. And there are some names that we see now since a few seasons. And I think there's also a reason why we see these names more often, because they're just fucking good. One of them is Zomar. You will also see it in my Fashion Week video. We spoke with the designers and interviewed them. We looked at the collection close up. We've been to the fashion show. Amazing. For me, it's one of the very few brands that is managing to bring happiness and creativity into fashion, and not making it look like everything needs to be dark and edgy and sophisticated to be cool. Absolutely not. It can be cool and colorful and happy, and to me Zoma is pretty unique in doing that. Another brand is Marie-Adam Lena Ert. She used to be women's wear designer at Balenciaga. I think we still see some nuances of it. I think I really like it. Yeah, you have this sophisticated, elegant, but like disruptive approach. Similar brand is Alain Paul that I really love. I haven't seen their show, but yeah, it's like perfect, dressy, classy, but always with an edge clothes. So these are of course my personal preferences, because I do like fashion that I can wear daily, but it's so easy to like downgrade to your look to make it a bit more street style. So that's why I'm usually not interested too much into like streetwear, because to me it's easy to look in a certain wear like a bit more streetish, a bit more leisure, but it's way harder to be comfortable in a kind of elegant look. Like, I know elegant is a terrible word, but you know what I mean, like put together but with an edge. That's always kind of the goal. And put together for yourself, not for the others. We don't give a damn about what put together means to other people. So yeah, it's Zoma, it's Marie Adam, it's Alain Paul, it's Independent Decor, also available at Dover Street Market. Super small designer that used to do the headpieces for Comme des Garçons on the runways. An insane creative. She will make it big time. It's very niche what she's doing. We also interviewed her. If you do like a bit this Renaissance, Victorian era things and designs that are depicting usually a very historically inspired but strong woman. I see a lot of like Jeanne d'Arc references, a lot of things that look so easily made, but it's also always reminding me like of armor and weapons. And another new designer that I really love, and I think he's really a freshman, is Niklas Skovgaard. The first time ever I heard about him was, I don't know if it was his alumni show, but during Copenhagen Fashion Week. I know he had a showroom here. I didn't have the time to go there, unfortunately. I already bought my first piece from you, Niklas. Amazing designer. Again, if you are into those, if you actually like into those alaya things, but you like it a bit more 80s and a bit more disruptive and extreme, I would say Niklas Skovgaard is the brand to go for you. I really love it. Follow them all on Instagram. They're amazing designers. Next question is, thinking of a BA in fashion management, what's your opinion on private fashion schools? I'm going to be super honest with you, don't do it. Don't spend a dime on a private business fashion school. I know so many people that have like a fashion management master. Experience is the only thing that counts in this industry. Do internships, like try to build a network, and you can only start building a network if you're already in the industry. So you need to intern, be an assistant, be a photographer assistant, be a production assistant, stylist assistant in an agency, even in models. Like, you can do everything you want. Honestly, anything that is just in this fashion network will make you benefit from it way more than any like overpriced fashion school that is like, usually they're trying to catch the kids with like, hey, we're getting you industry connections, and the connections at the end are like, I don't know, it's like Estee Lauder and Hugo Boss. It's like places you don't want to go anywhere anyway, and usually you want to go into you want to start with a smaller brand or a niche brand, or you can only work passionately in this industry because it's so tough and you give so much more than you get back. It needs to be a brand you love usually, so you will be choosing, maybe it's an art gallery, a fashion collective, whatever it is. The way to get successful in this industry is to start as early as possible, as an intern, as an assistant. So I would not recommend any fashion school. Anybody I know that has been to fashion schools is doing now more corporate jobs. So it's like project managers, product managers in big corporate companies. So if you crave something like that, where you have the title like manager, director in the next 5 or 10 years, you can do a BA in a fashion school. Otherwise, go out there. Like, honestly, start in your hometown, start to work with a photographer, whatever you do, build a network. Unfortunately, that's very sad, and I know a lot of industries are like this as well, but because the craft and fashion is so personal, way more personal than when it comes to finance or medical or whatever, it's so personal that you really also need to have a personal network of people, because it's usually your own aesthetic, your own vision and eye that makes people want you. So yeah, you literally need friends. So next question is it possible to request a fashion show by sending your CV? It's a really good question. So it's not a CV that you send, but it's true that you need to send some important references about yourself. So it's not a CV, but it's more like a pitch. So you need to have 2 or 3 very good sentences that describe you, what you're doing. And the most important part of your email sending to an agency, a brand or whatever is, why should they take you? That terrible question in HR interviews is like, but why should we, what reason is there that we should want you or whatever? Yeah, that's exactly what you need. to write into that email why you're beneficial to be there instead of a potential journalist, editor, influencer, content creator, whatever. What makes you different, or what is the thing they benefit of? Is it your audience? Is it the way you dress? Are you appealing to another group that is interesting for the brand? So you need to be very smart. Even it's good to have a few KPIs also if you're in social media, or any kind of KPIs. You don't have to be in social media. That's just, I would say, 90% the case, even if you're an editor nowadays. But did you have publications? Do you have a blog? Do you have a Substack? Do you have listeners anyway? Do you have a podcast? So unfortunately, you will need to have some KPIs, like how many listeners do you have, how many readers do you have, or whatever. So nobody cares about in what school you were. So when you say CV, it's more like a portfolio. It's more like a design portfolio of what you crafted and what you created and what turned into a publication or something meaningful. Nobody wants to know where you come from, who you worked for, who you work for. It's really just, you really just write about the things that the brand does benefit of and that they're interested in. It's not about you. It's really like, hey, can I come because I will bring you this and this. So not a CV, but a pitch. So next question was, how do you come up with new video ideas? I want to make videos as well. To be honest, super easy. It's problem solving. It's just me running around every day and realizing something. I never really brainstorm for new ideas. I know a lot of people do that. They are like, I don't know, some people are also like searching, adapting also their content to trends. And of course, we all benefit of certain Google search terms and whatever. That's pretty normal. It's a business. But for me, I usually have a very personal selection of topics. For example, one of the last videos I did was about medieval fashion. It was just because I was running around for weeks now, and I was figuring more and more that everything was so going into a certain direction when it was about pieces, and nobody was naming it. And I don't know, I think seeing Chapel Rowan's makeup and looks was for me like the last reason to be like, okay, I need to make a video about medieval fashion, even though I know it's very niche. A lot of people will not understand it and not care about it, but it's just something I want to get out there. But of course, I also do videos like what are the autumn trends, because I know, I mean, if you follow YouTube, you know that the trends videos are always the best performing ones, and there are whole channels based on that, which is fine as well. And I just like to speak about trends because it's also like pretty socioeconomic and explains like what we're into and what not, you know, like maybe shifting from cheap accessories to more expensive pieces. You know, that this is also like very descriptive of the current market that we're in. So trends are actually pretty interesting in a deeper way as well. But also sometimes we just want to speak about very banal stuff and be like, red socks are amazing, you know. But yeah, it's very personal, the selection that I do, and usually it's really like something that bothers me. I don't know. For example, my hats video was just like, why is nobody speaking about hats? I need to make a hat video, and yeah. So it's really things that I feel like needs to be spoken about. But if you're smart, you should check a few keywords as well. So the next question is, what do you think about CCP, Carol Christian Pole? If you know me, you probably know that Carol Christian Pole kind of avant-garde fashion is not the fashion that I'm so interested about and never talk about, because I don't have a connection to it, and I only speak about things here, as I said before, that I care about. Nevertheless, I have to say I have like deep respect for Carol Christian Pole. I love his strategy of just dropping items whenever he's in the mood to create something, and I think that turns his pieces into something very meaningful, and especially in comparison to the luxury market that is like over flooding us with pieces and meaningless stuff, and where we have like 8 seasons per year. I think brands like Carol Christian Pole are very interesting to watch, and I think it's very nice that it's such a sustainable and successful brand. So I do really like it. I understand the appeal of Carol Christian Pole. Yeah, I think usually in my head it's very closely, I think the commercial version, the most commercial version of Carol Christian Pole is probably like Rick Owens. So usually I think it's that kind of team when I have to like group people into certain aesthetics. And since I'm not a Rick head, again, I understand the appeal of Rick, but I will probably not make a Rick Owens video here. I really like him as a person though, I think. Soli Recht, I think, is going into like an even more niche or extreme version of Carol Christian Pole. He's cool, we like him. Next question, what's your opinion on sound design and music production at shows? very interesting because I feel like it's actually not being talked enough about. So I'm really happy that I received this question. If you go to fashion shows, you will realize how important good sound is. First of all, like technically just having good sound. And then of course the music selection. I think what is like sometimes it's funny because you're going to was it Noir or Junya Watanabe show and like Sam Smith is playing and you're just like, wow, okay, I'm going to the like most avant-garde show during Paris Fashion Week, most influential one, and there's Sam Smith, but it still works. So the impact of sound and music is super important, and the vibe that is being created. Nevertheless, I have to say I'm not a huge fan of what is happening currently with turning fashion shows into production events. I do like a nice venue and it's always appreciated. I do love to have a good seat and something nice to look at despite the clothes, of course. So scenery is important. I really love scenery. I think Milan is a bit more subtle when it comes to that. Like you have, of course, huge productions, but they're a bit more grounded. And I think Paris is just going nuts sometimes, which is cool. But like shows like Coperni are things where I'm like, okay, was this really necessary in terms of production? So yeah, sound is definitely the most important thing for me. You can have a super small venue in a tiny gallery or whatever, but sound needs to be good. Next question is, what brand is your gray crop trench? And I only included this because I got it 3 times, this question. It's funny because I always say that I hate trench coats, and you know what? It's actually also still the case. I just love this one because it just looks so different from any other trench coat that I've ever seen before. This one is Balenciaga. I think it's 2022 or 2023 season. Yeah, it's like folded inside, and within that collection Balenciaga had a few pieces, a few jackets, coats and blazers that were like folded to the inside. And of course I do like that it has these broad shoulders that I see very rarely with trench coats, and that's usually my main issue as well. It usually fits very fitted and in a very classic and conservative way, and it can look very pretty on a lot of people. It's just not something I identify with. And seeing like this distorted version of a trench coat made me really love it. Despite that, Karen Reutefeldt has this trench coat as well. So I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. I love this trench coat, yes. And it's probably my only light colored jacket. Next question, best winter shoes. Honestly, as a person that lives in the city and walks a lot because I don't have a car since I'm in Paris, mid-length leather boots with a tiny heel, plastic sole, no leather, if it's possible with shilling inside. One of my favorite ones optically are the ones from Mayamna Cesare. I know that every brand from fast fashion to high-end luxury like Ferragamo, Bottega, everybody is creating these, like has these half-length boots. It's very important that you have a tiny heel. Yeah, even if you have a thick sole, your foot shouldn't lay completely on the ground. So a tiny heel always helps. I also feel like it's always a bit safer during the winter. The toe part shouldn't be too tight, so you don't have to go for something squared, but round shaped, even though if you're not into round, is still a bit better in the winter, so your toes have a bit space to warm up. Everything that is very pointy is terrible in the winter. So round shape, a tiny heel, mid-length, something you can tuck your pants inside when it's super cold. That's like the best feeling in the world. Wearing heat tech leggings, your pants, tuck it into boots, the best thing in the world. I don't say long boots because I just think they're way more impractical, and I am not the tallest person, and if I have flat long boots, I sometimes feel very tiny. And even though you might say that like with mid-length boots, they cut you off even more, I just feel like I like it if you see more of my pant if I wear like a short coat over it. So that's my go-to for the winter. I would love to have one pair from Mayamna Cesare. Check alternatives, there's so many. If you need more advice, DM me. Next question, what's your process of building an outfit? To be honest, I do have a video about this. My personal process is a bit different than what I recommended because that was the recommendation for people that really don't know how to start and on how to build an outfit. So my mood is of course the most important thing, but sometimes, you know, you have this very specific moment where you want to be comfortable, but you want to be dressed up as well. So I think that's the hardest sometimes. I figured that I can easily achieve that with nice outerwear. So I have like my hygge, my warm clothes underneath, but if I have like something dressier on top, like a nice coat with some embroideries or like boots that are having a tiny heel, like everything is super casual, but the boots are a bit more interesting, I go like this. So it really starts with my mood, and then with my color palette and then with the pieces. But sometimes I also start with the silhouette because, I don't know, in the summer, for example, I like to wear more crop jackets. So if I have a crop jacket, I do like it when there's something voluminous coming out. So I do have a skirt that has like something on the sides, and I think that's interesting. So sometimes I start with a silhouette that I want to create some interest. Sometimes it's more like driven by my mood because it is a very strong mood that you don't want to experience. Yeah, I have very different techniques, but usually it's very mood driven, and sometimes also with how I want to be perceived. Like, let's be honest, sometimes it's also external factors. If I'm somewhere where I'm like, okay, I need to be taken a bit more seriously, I do adapt. I wouldn't say I'm just driven by what I want myself. Sometimes I just know I will feel more comfortable if I slightly adapt to the occasion. But also my personal style is not. It can be very eclectic, but also it's very often like my dad's, so I don't struggle too much. Next question. Would you ever make content about other topics but fashion? No, and it's not, I mean, the reason is not like, hey, I have a brand identity here that I want to follow anything. It's literally, there's nothing else that excites me in the world but fashion, and I would never commit to anything else but fashion because it's so naturally driven. And it's not that I'm like obsessed with other things. I just have no interest in other things. I would not make content about working out, about food, even about cultural things, even though I would consider myself a person that is interested in cultural activities and reading about it and everything. I do get inspired by it, but I wouldn't create content about it. The only thing I can naturally create content about is fashion. It will always stay like this. This will also not turn into a how to create a matcha latte get to know me channel ever. Yeah. I think that's okay. I think you can bear with that. Next question. What is next for Dries Van Noten? Hopes and wishes. If you have seen my reel on Instagram, which is actually kind of functioning as a tiny teaser for the Fashion Week video coming up, because I talked 10 minutes with Meryl Rogge, and I also asked her, which is pretty tough of me, what she thinks about the rumors with Dries Van Noten. And also I heard here and there that there are rumors because Meryl Rogge used to design for Dries Van Noten. She used to work at Marc Jacobs, then at Dries, and then she founded her own brand 4 years ago. So it would have made sense that she's maybe the successor. I would have really loved to see her. First, I don't care because she's a female. And we don't have that at all currently existing in the creative director world. And don't come me with like Prada and Maria Grazia, please. No, but other than that, I really like the last collection, to be honest. I'm kind of convinced that Dries Van Noten would easily survive without a huge creative director. Other than that, I don't think Jonathan Anderson fits at all. I do think it really needs to be somebody from the background that we're not aware of, because I think Dries Van Noten is a house that is so strong in their image and creations and history and heritage. I really don't want this to change. Usually I do like the game. I do like sometimes how new creative directors change completely a brand, like Alessandro Michele at Gucci, for example. But with Dries Van Noten, I really just don't want it to change. It's weird. Usually I'm always hyped about change, and I think change is necessary and needed for us all to evolve also in terms of fashion. But in terms of Dries Van Noten, I think everything was perfect. And my wishes are that it is somebody that really deserves it, that worked hard for the brand, maybe for years, and really understands Dries' vision and continues to do it while also bringing his personal own creativity to the brand, maybe changing something that we are not yet aware of, that we will want it and like it. So yeah, really something like that, not a big ego, no Galliano, no Jonathan, nothing like that. Like really somebody a bit humble, and I feel like sometimes that's pretty rare with creative directors. Another question that's a bit more about me. What's your role at Fashion Week? Are you a guest, an intern, or a creator? First of all, thanks for thinking it's possible for me to still be an intern. Do I still look this young? Thank you. Guest, technically everybody is a guest, so everybody's a guest. Usually the guests are divided into press, buyers, and creators. That's what it's usually like. So sometimes when you go to a show, and this season I had it at Florentina Leitner, and you never have it usually. And I think because it's a smaller brand and they had Excels, they asked me, what are you, press or influencer? So imagine me, and the thing is, I really don't mind to be put into the category of an influencer. I really don't care. I think an influencer is just a person that might influence, and if you have an opinion and share it, you might influence people. So you don't only need to share Amazon links to be an influencer. I just think it just has a terrible image. So, but for press, I mean, I don't do coverage for any form of press or media. I mean, it's my own invented form of media, and I don't know if that's being considered press already. So I was really like, I was standing in front of this girl and I was like, I don't know. And you know what? Yeah, I was, I think, in the influencer category and not in press, because it was classical press, like print press and like magazines. So usually I'm invited because of my YouTube channel. So I would consider it more like media. I mean, I like to call it media and not press and not influencer, because my content is not about myself. So usually, I mean, of course, I share like a pickup video per year or whatever, but my content is very rarely about me personally. So I would say it's not typical influencer content. I just call it media, which is like the most superficial form of describing myself. But yeah, something like that. Next question. De quelle origine es-tu? Where do I come from? So yeah, I don't know if I never made that clear, but obviously for my name, obviously if you're aware, of course, of some countries, it's a Turkish name. So I am from Turkey. Both of my parents are Turkish, so I am Turkish, not like a mix, not half German, how a lot of people believe or whatever. I was born and raised in Germany. I never lived in Turkey. I'm fluent in Turkish. It's with German, my mother tongue. I would say still German. I'm still a bit better in German, of course, than in Turkish, a lot better. Yeah, but it's German and Turkish, but I am fully of Turkish heritage. I moved to France, to Paris 2 years ago, not yet fluent in French, and that's about it. That's what I am. Next question, why do people still wear Guram's vêtements? Good question that I also kind of ask myself. I think there is room in the fashion industry for like gimmicky stuff and funny stuff, and a lot of people love it. I was surprised about the cast, as many of you are, but like Gigi Hadid, of course, or like, yeah, even the one from Desperate Housewives, right? And I think somebody else was also relevant and I forgot about it. I think especially because there's so much hate against Balenciaga, there's kind of space for like the anti-Balenciaga brand that is kind of pretty much the same. Like, I feel like vêtements always like Balenciaga from 2 years ago. I really don't identify with the brand at all anymore. I remember very well how they launched, I think in 2016, you know, when these double Levi's pants came out, and I was obsessed, and they had these knife boots and everything, the DHL t-shirt, everything was so smart, so much fun. I think it lost absolutely everything about it, and yes, I do think it's because of Demna, because he was probably the brain behind it. And I also don't think they're bringing anything new to the market that Balenciaga is not doing already, which is a bit sad, because they had so much potential. It was a huge collective of like designers that were extremely creative, upcycling and being sustainable as well. Like, I mean, despite the price tags they were putting on it, it was still something very innovative. I don't think it has any relevancy, and I think it will die sooner or later. Like, yeah, maybe if Demna is ever leaving Balenciaga is turning into this Cristobal Balenciaga super chic and elegant brand again. Maybe some streetwear brands will still get inspired by vêtements, because they will be like the edgy Berlin kid. But then there are brands like Namilia from Berlin, for example, where I feel like that's way more exciting. That's genuine, you know, that's like real Berlin street style that is disruptive, freaky, crazy. And vêtements just feels very fake. Very, very fake. So yeah, I don't really enjoy it, so I don't think it will sustain. Next question that is maybe slightly related to this. Is Demna running out of ideas? Again, if you know this channel, you know I'm a huge supporter of Demna Gvasalia, and I think it's insane what he's doing at Balenciaga. And I do believe that in 20 years from now, people will speak about him like we currently speak about Alexander McQueen. What he created, the impact Demna had on the 2010s, meanwhile he just started in 2016, by the way, is impeccable, it's insane. Like, every brand we see right now at Fashion Week is kind of inspired by Demna. I can make a whole video about this, and it will work out. Like, we will definitely find inspo everywhere inspired by Demna. I just think, like, obviously it's not, for me, the peak time of Demna's Balenciaga was 2017 to 19, like maybe to 2020. And I think he pretty much exploded. Like, for me, seeing his designs was an explosion. Until then, I was very much craving the maximalist, disruptive world of Phoebe Philo at Celine, or like, I don't know, Jill Sander And Demna was giving me the depth in like immigrant culture inspired, like political topic appealing things even that I could identify with, and it was amazing. And then meanwhile the pieces were amazing as well, and a lot of this 80s inspiration and this real life inspiration that was immediately reflected on the clothes was something so unique that I had never seen before. So I was like blown away by Demna. Am I blown away now by the shows? Of course not. I think it stopped like with the mud show for me to be interesting at all. Still, I think the shows don't reflect the whole catalog and the whole portfolio of clothes. If you go to the store now, or if I go to the store now, I know I will find at least 10 pieces that are insanely made, smart, the gimmickiness that I search for. I mean, I don't know, these ballerina shoes or the wallets they are having right now. I mean, these chips wallets, these chips bags, so much interesting stuff that is funny and good and well made. A lot of pieces made in France still even. Yeah, I don't think he's running out of ideas, to come back to the question. I think he implemented so many great ideas that he can now benefit of his previous works. And yes, he's less innovative, but I think he's still relevant in the pieces he creates, even if it's now just like 1 or 2 handbags per season versus whole new silhouettes. But I think the clothing silhouette he created is such a good base and fundament for him that it just continues now. So he's not reinventing himself anymore. He already builds the Demna wardrobe, and this might look boring to a lot of people that are not into it, but to the people that find it appealing, it's amazing. It's just a wardrobe, so yeah, we have seen it already, but it's great. Next question. Buying affordable designer pieces where? I would say this is like my lifelong quest, because obviously I don't walk into the stores and just buy stuff. I usually wait 5 or 6 years. But other than that, I check Yokes a lot. I think Yokes is the best place on earth to check for like off-season, older season items and find them for, of course, lesser price. The Outnet is a possibility, even though I feel like the Outnet is still slightly overpriced and has a very strong focus on Zimmerman and Tory Burch and stuff. So I'm not sure if this is really your kind of stuff. Other than that, I'm so sorry, but you need to dig through Vestiaire Collective, The Real, Poshmark, even Grail sometimes has pieces that are good. Vinted for Europeans. The problem with Vinted in Europe is you need to have an account for every country. So my German account, for example, is just for the German market, which is a bit annoying, so I don't see whole Europe. Since I moved to France, I see the French and the Italian market way better pieces. The amount of Prada pieces since I moved to France is insane. So what you can do if you're very dedicated is create a Vinted account for different countries. I heard UK is also amazing. So UK and France are, I think, the most relevant ones. Make 2 accounts, check it there. Secondhand stuff is still my to-go. And other than that, yeah, I check Yokes a lot. Next question, what's your favorite print magazine? Oh, I do love magazines. And usually the reason I buy them is like very special interviews that they do. So I do like Sister Magazine a lot. I think it's one of my favorites. There's the Viscose Journal that is very much like fashion theories. Yeah, very academic almost in their writing, I would say. It's like a lot of essays. So it's not so much about like current designers and what they're doing, but it's very meta and like descriptive of what is going on currently in the fashion world, and usually there's one like big topic for every journal that they release. I like Viscose a lot, I like System a lot, Double is great, also if you want to dig deeper into specific designers usually. Another I think is not print, it's just digital, but I love Another Magazine also a lot. Like these are the ones I usually dive into. I don't really read an interview or something, so ID, yeah, also not so much, I would say. What's your job is the next question, and I don't know if I should be mad about this question because I thought it's obvious. I'm doing this, exactly what you're seeing here. I'm doing this full time, so hello. What was your 9 to 5 before this job? I worked in marketing for luxury brands. That's it. Who are the best fashion critics you know? The ones I read, it's Alexander Fury and Kathy Horn that I like the very most. And Alexander Fury for being so amazing in describing shows, the metaphors he uses, the elegance he manages to describe, yeah, very basic shows sometimes even. And Kathy Horn I really like for being so direct and clear when she describes something. So they're very contrary, I would say, but these are like my 2 favorite fashion critics. I also really like Hetty, that is doing the reviews for Show Studio, and I love to watch her stories and reels. Amazing, super sharp and clear, short reviews that are, yeah, super on point. She's great too, yeah. Is there any piece of clothing that made you fall in love with fashion? That's a very good question. I think I have several pieces. I think I honestly, actually, Dries Van Noten was one of my first inspirations. I think it was 2012, because I think in 2014 or 15 I managed to get this coat with the embroideries, and I still have it. Celine overall, I think Phoebe coming to Celine in 2009 or something was one of the biggest influences on me. It was a coat from Celine that I saw probably on Tumblr or maybe Instagram already back then, on my iPhone 2 or whatever. Yeah, that was the brand. So Celine is one of my, I think, first brands, luxury brands I was obsessed with. In parallel to Prada, actually. Yeah, no, I was also always a Prada person. My favorite socks. So there are different categories of socks. I love this question. Thank you so much for asking about my socks. You probably know that I'm obsessed with socks. So for my daily wear, my favorite socks are from Muji. They have the best quality, perfect amount of stretch around your foot, because I need socks that hold my foot super close. That's for me what shows if it's cozy or not. So I do not like loose socks at all. Yeah, I'm buying the ones from Muji. Other than that, I of course do like, when it comes about, it's like about crazier socks, it's Simon Rocha and Prada. These are for me like the interesting sock brands, and I have a few pairs. And I would always check those brands when you want to go for something with embroideries or something that is a bit more different and a real accessory. When was the last time you bought from a fast fashion retailer? I'm thinking, honestly, I of course read the questions before, so I thought about it, and I really think the last thing I bought was in June. It was these wide leg pants that I showed also in another video from COS that I got specifically for summer. And yes, I searched everywhere for like a really crispy cotton wide leg pants. You know, these pants that don't touch your body and air can circulate, and it's amazing. And I had a beach trip of like 2 or 3 days, and I literally didn't have anything lightweight, just like silk pants. And I do not really like to wear silk in the summer, actually. I just wanted to have something that doesn't touch my legs. And honestly, I tried everything. And also I didn't want to spend too much money. And COS is for me always a good in between still, even though it's fast fashion, because it's owned by H&M. I know some people are not aware of that still, but COS is owned by H&M. I would say the quality is very different, but still it is fast fashion at the end. It's those pants, and I got them for 60 euros. Since June, yeah, I haven't bought, probably I will not buy this year anything anymore. I really buy like 1 or 2 pieces per year. I'm very committed to not do that, and also I think I got used to it since 1 or 2 years. I don't crave it. Because the more you get into high fashion also, the more you're used to seeing amazing stuff, and then you're like, okay, I will try to find something amazing secondhand than getting that. But I mean, I know I grew up as a student with always COS pants, and honestly I have COS pants that are 7 or 8 years old. Wool pants, amazing quality, still great. So I give them to the laundry cleaning, and it's amazing. So yeah, if you're very focused on what you get, I think it's okay to have like a few pieces, and COS, if you don't exaggerate, is really fine. What do you want to see by the next generation of fashion designers that haven't emerged yet? I think I want to see a bit more daring things, but not like unwearably daring. I think what we need to learn is, I think a brand where we can find that pretty well is actually Marni, where we have this extreme approach, but everything is extremely wearable as well. So, you know, you can do, and I think Zoma is a very interesting brand there as well. It's usually the colorful ones, no, but I think it's very easy to be very minimal and elegant, and I think we have a good amount of brands that do that. I mean, for the big ones is The Row and Kate, and I don't know if you're a Loro Piana person, but if you are, I mean, those brands exist and it's great, and I love The Row as well, and I think Kate is also very interesting. But I also see like a lot of emerging brands, especially from Europe, but also from Asia, have this very minimalist, almost monk-like approach, I would say. And it's great to have that. And I'm still a strong believer that this is kind of the remains of old Celine, oftentimes. I think that's nice, but I think I want to see a bit more excitement overall. So that's why I really like the brands I mentioned earlier, which are like Marie Adam, Julie Kegels, Alain Paul, Niklas Skovgaard. It's a bit more daring, it's not just accessorized, but it's a different silhouette, an unusual silhouette. I think Kiko Kostadinov is a great example of how you can manage to create wearable pieces in an unusual way And I think these are things like Comme des Garçons is great, but I mean, in terms of emerging ones, I want to have this Comme des Garçons appeal in the emerging brands. When do you come to New York City? Guys, I know that most of my viewers here are from the US, and even the Discord is full of Americans, which is amazing, which makes me crave go to the US so much. Like every day, honestly, every day I have a thought of when can I go back to the US. I was in the US exactly 10 years ago. It was the first time ever, and I never went ever since. And now, since it's my third season for Fashion Week, I of course think, okay, maybe it makes sense to go for a Fashion Week. I would like to do a meetup, see you guys from my Discord, you know, just have coffee with people. And obviously I do love New York City as well. So my goal is definitely next year, between March and June. Between March and June, give me tips. When is the best time? I will be in New York City for sure, probably. Give me tips. When is the best time? I don't want to have it cold. But yeah, I will come next year 100%. And I got a question from my beloved Osama. Would you say good taste ruins individuality? And here's another question, because he said, why do you have that slogan of I hate good taste? And yes, it is related with each other. I just think good taste was misinterpreted in so many ways and created this stigma of if you're not having a good taste, you're not worthy of a lot of things, that I started to really hate it. Like, having good taste, what does that even mean? And especially because it's very oftentimes used by people that really, like, superficially speaking, don't have good taste, if you really want to describe what good taste is. If you want to describe good taste, it's definitely not a Goya bag with a redone pant and a zip hoodie by, I don't know, Zimmerman or whatever. Like, but that's the kind of people that told us this is good taste. So I think my vendetta started when I was like 16 and was like, this is all terrible and this is not something this is something I want to fight against. So I really started with, and that's why I loved Prada so early already, because she was kind of the inventor of ugly fashion. For me, it was really the revolution against this common sense of good fashion and bad fashion, and why should a woman especially ever want to look bad. So you only dress in a bad way because you on purpose don't want to look appealing because you feel ugly. And pretty girls would always dress pretty, right? So yeah, this is so stupid that I said I don't like good taste. And of course, taste by itself not being able to be defined in any way. I think the typical good taste that we know is usually in this context. And yes, I do think it kills individuality, because the moment you speak about a certain aesthetic or a certain taste and that is good, and you get attracted by it and you dress in that way, I do think it overlaps with your personality and you will not be able to showcase your personality anymore. So whenever you are very strongly influenced by trends, so that is a form of a certain taste, you lose a part of your personality, by the way. So get influenced by trends, that's absolutely fine, but never make it your look, like head to toe. So yeah, I do think good taste destroys individuality. Another question he had that I really loved is, do you think a creative director's vision should prevail over a maison's heritage? To be honest, I think it is okay to be so. I think it's fine if, I think Hedi Slimane was a great example at Celine now, where we saw, okay, the Celine of Phoebe Fido and then his were like so different. It's definitely the creative director speaking here. And actually, yeah, Hedi Slimane also referenced a lot of 60s Celine, like OG Celine. So we can also say that he's actually referencing the real Celine, and Phoebe's personal image was too strong for the heritage of the maison. I don't mind it, to be honest. For how long can you reference the originals of a brand? Like, for how long do you want to reference things? I think Galliano is a great example how it can work out the best way possible. Like, the shows, to be honest, for me, Margiela currently is more Galliano. I definitely like it more than his namesake brand. I think it's way more elevated, and he really benefits from the ethos of Martin Margiela. So I think that's a great example of how it can work out. Of course, there are brands where it didn't work, where the designer's vision was not too strong, but like too opaque kind of for the brand, and was kind of hiding what was underneath it. I think Nina Ricci is a brand that is continuously suffering from that. I think, I don't know. I feel like, for example, Oscar de la Renta is, I think, a brand that will suffer from that. I think Moschino is a brand that is kind of always having these problems of figuring out heritage versus designers brand vision. I'm not bothered by it. I think it's interesting for a brand to have a very strong creative director who can start leading into a direction that heritage would never go to. I think, for example, to be honest, at Mathieu Blazy at Bottega, I love the brand and I love what he's doing. It's amazing work. I do think he's a bit too quiet with his creative director vision. I would like to see more Mathieu Blazy. That's what annoys me. And I know that he has a potential, and whatever I see crafted by Bottega, I think it's probably currently on the luxury market, the highest quality pieces that you can get. Whenever I touch a Bottega piece, I'm incredibly impressed. But I want to see a stronger vision. So honestly, I like to have a bit more creative director. I'm okay with it overlapping with the heritage heavy background. Coming to the last question, back to superficial topics, which we love. That one item from Fashion Week you want right now. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in my good girl era and where I'm in my frugal or humble era or whatever, because I always want something. And my wish list is usually long, but currently I really don't have so many current pieces. I think I would probably go with a good pair of Prada shoes, because I think I will wear them forever. I think they're timeless. I like that they are referencing the past of Prada. So I think a good Prada shoe will be it. It's kind of approachable, you know, it's not like a handbag. I didn't see a single good handbag again this season, so anybody who has good handbag recommendations, help me out. I would like to like a handbag, but currently I just feel like they all look the same. Yeah, I think maybe that, and maybe a pair of Prada shoes. And I mean, of course, a lot of ready to wear. Like I would wear Peter Do, I would wear, I think Tory Burch had very interesting pieces. Maybe not the first ones I would go for. Louis Vuitton, okay, I would probably go for a good ready to wear from Louis Vuitton. I will talk about the Nicolas Ghesquière Spring Summer 25 collection later. I was at the show. Crazy, it was pretty much crazy. So guys, these were your 29 questions. I hope this wasn't too boring or not too much for you. I will ask the remaining questions on my Discord so you guys can answer as well, because I'd really like to know what you're thinking. Leave a comment also down below if you want to share your opinion about one of those questions, because not only my opinion is here relevant. Don't forget to join the Discord, because we have our talk, which is about to start very soon, and we will review shows. I forgot what was on the agenda for today, but it's a lot of shows. We will look at them quickly and then we will just randomly talk about them. So everybody's welcome. Join my Patreon if you want another more personal video every week, and support me there. Of course, subscribe to this channel and my Instagram if you haven't done that yet, where I share also a bit more my personal style. Thank you so much for listening to me nonstop. I hope it was fine. See you to the next one.